Hi everyone, welcome back to Quirky Pineapples. If you're new here, I'm Vina, a plant-based recipe developer and food blogger, and I'm excited to be back with episode 2 of my easy, simple, plant-based meals. It's kind of a mouthful there. So today I'm going to be making my Harissa potato lentil stew. Doesn't take a ton of ingredients, about 7 ingredients, and then some spices, things that you probably already have in your pantry, which most of us have potatoes. We tend to have lentils and things like that. So yeah, let's get on into it because I just got home from work myself and it's about time for dinner. All right, so we're gonna start out by getting our aromatics ready. I've just got a shallot here and I've got some garlic. So I'm gonna get started on my shallot. I am definitely hoping that I don't end up crying or with my eyes watering. I feel like it just depends on the type of shallot that you've gotten a hold of. Sometimes they're stronger than others, so we'll see. I always feel like whenever I cut an onion or shallot and then my eyes don't get watery, I think to myself like, yay, I might have a tolerance. No, not at all. It was just the shallot that I chose that day. All right, so I'm just going to kind of finely chop my shallot. Finely chop my shallot. And I know I say it's easy and then I pull out some type of onion and garlic for you to chop, but it's really not that bad. It's just a couple of things. And you could always, to chop your garlic, you could use your garlic cruncher or press. Oh, it's getting me. It's getting me. All right, let's finish these last couple chops and then I'm gonna go wipe my eyes. Okay, so I really set myself up for failure there. Obviously, when you're cooking in the evening, you're not going to be wearing makeup or mascara or anything like that. Shallots had your girl looking like a raccoon for a moment, but we're back. All right, so now I'm just going to mince my garlic, which will do way less damage than that shallot did. Chopping the garlic though, it's kind of therapeutic. It feels kind of good. You get into a rhythm and everything, kind of get it going. It's perfect. And obviously if you're in a hurry making this for dinner, you could do all of this stuff ahead of time, like ingredient prep, chop up your onions. I have a tendency to keep chopped up onions or peppers and things like that in my freezer. Usually if I'm making something and it doesn't require the entire bell pepper or it doesn't require the entire onion, then I just cut up the rest and freeze it so that I can have it ready for other meals. But yeah, this is therapeutic. I can mince garlic all day, but we don't have all day, so let's finish this up. All right, so my garlic is nicely minced. I did about 3 cloves of garlic there. And that's just because, I don't know. You really can't have too much garlic. So if you want to put 5 bulbs of garlic in there, or not bulbs, but 5 cloves of garlic in there, then by all means. All right, so now I've got my kale. I left a few stems on because I feel like I want as much texture in this stew as possible. So I left the stems on just a few of them. But I just have some like dino kale here and I'm just gonna roughly chop it because it's just gonna go in and cook with my potatoes and my lentils. And of course, like this is gonna go in at the very end. But yes, it does take a little bit of washing and cleaning and things like that, but that's not too bad. Still pretty easy. Once everything gets in the pot, you just kind of like set it and forget it, but you actually don't, because it's not a crock pot. You still have to pay attention to it and stir it and all of that stuff. All right, just some rough chops of my kale. If my cutting style is getting to you, then just look away. My kale was a little wilted, so it's not as nice and crispy as it usually would be. All right, I'm gonna get this off my board, kind of clear my board off because I'm gonna need to chop my potato. All right, so now to cut my potatoes. Now, if you wanted to make your potatoes kind of like crispy and all of that, you could roast them ahead of time. But I'm looking for simplicity here, so I'm actually going to quarter these potatoes. They're just like the little yellow new potatoes. I like the yellow potatoes because I feel like they're kind of like creamy, which is kind of nice. But I'm gonna quarter them so that they can cook down pretty quickly in the stew. I don't want it taking 50 years for the potatoes to cook, because basically we're going to make sure that the lentils are cooked and the potatoes are cooked to know when everything is done. All right, so everything's all chopped up and it is time to finally get cooking. Not finally, this really didn't take as much time as you think it did. All right, so got some olive oil here. I'm just gonna do a couple glugs of olive oil. I don't always measure, but I would, if I had to guess, maybe about 2 to 3 tablespoons. And then I'm gonna toss in my shallots and garlic. It's not giving me that sizzle yet because apparently I was impatient and didn't wait for my pot to get too hot. So we're going to let that get to sizzling only for a couple of minutes because we don't want to burn the garlic. And then I'm going to add in our harissa paste and our spices so that the spices can kind of not caramelize. The spices can kind of bloom and the harissa paste can caramelize just a little bit. All right, so things are finally sizzling there. I'm just gonna try and keep things moving a little bit, just like I said, so that the garlic doesn't burn. I just wanted to brown up a little bit, kind of release the flavors into the oil. There we go, looking good. The nice part about this meal is that it's a one-pot meal along with it. So not a lot. I mean, obviously, like I have separated everything into bowls, but you do not have to do this. You can leave everything on your cutting board if you want to. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw in some smoked paprika. Okay. You can also use sweet paprika if you like, and some cumin. Okay, we're gonna wait on that salt until later because I kind of like to salt things a little later on just to like see how much is actually needed. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and put in the harissa paste. Now I'm putting in about 2 to 3 tablespoons. I really meant to put in about 1/4 of a cup, but your girl didn't go out and get herself another jar of harissa paste. But it's nice because it's just gonna caramelize on the bottom of the pan. All right, and then we're gonna go ahead and throw in our crushed tomatoes. And I'm gonna try to do this without splashing myself. There we go. And then the water from the tomatoes kind of helps deglaze the pan and get the spices that were kind of toasting on the bottom off of the bottom of the pan. Now, the recipe calls for crushed tomatoes. I accidentally picked up a can of whole tomatoes, so judge your mama. But at least it'll be nice and hearty and good. All right, and then I have my lentils here. My lentils I've been soaking throughout the day, but if you want to make this an easier process, you can get canned lentils. But dry lentils are they're going to be more economical. 1 can, at least where I live, of black lentils costs like $3 a can. And in my case, using dry lentils was a lot more economical. I think I got like a 16-ounce bag of dry lentils for the same price. And I've got plenty more lentils that will be waiting for me. Okay. And then I'm going to also throw in those potatoes. Okay. Give it a stir. And I am realizing that I forgot to get my veggie broth. So we'll be back with that veggie broth. Okay. So I got my veggie broth. I've got my act together. We're going to go ahead and add in a cup of veggie broth. And all I did was just mix up some, is it better than bouillon? I think is it better than bouillon? It is. It's better than bouillon veggie broth. I had to double check. That's going to like deepen the flavors a little bit, which is really nice. But I do like to get better than bouillon, even though it might seem a little pricey up front, depending on where you get it. It lasts for a really long time. It's really not necessarily shelf stable, but you keep it in the refrigerator. And I think I've had my jar for about 6 months now, and I'm just barely kind of getting down to the bottom of it. So you get a lot out of it because it's concentrated instead of getting those, what are they? It's like the carton of vegetable broth. That a lot of times once you open it, you only got maybe 3 days or so to use it. So no, we're not doing that. We try to use things that are going to last long and kind of get us through multiple uses. All right, so this is simmering. I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on and let it simmer, simmer, simmer. Let all those flavors get deeper and soak into everything. Also let the lentils cook and let our potatoes cook. So I'm going to have this simmering for about 30 minutes or so, pretty much whenever those potatoes start to get nice and soft. You don't want them breaking, but you want them to be soft. And then once it gets down to that, then we'll add our kale and serve it up. So see, pretty easy. You didn't have to do a ton of work there, and you're, like I said, you're saving some money. All right, so my stew is almost pretty cooked down. My potatoes are nice and tender. So I'm gonna let this go for another 5 minutes. We're in the last bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and add in those greens, add in my kale, and then just give my kale an opportunity to cook down in the stew. Oh, this looks so good. Well, that looks good. And I did give it a little bit of a taste. And I will say it did need just a little bit of salt, so I'm gonna go ahead and add in my salt. It's always good to taste things before you start salting them because you can always add, you can't take away. All right, so I'm going to cover that up and let it finish off for the next 5 minutes just to give our kale an opportunity to finish cooking. And then I'm going to serve it up with some nice toasted bread. And oh, I can't wait to taste it. I can't wait to like really taste it with everything in it because it's going to be good. All right, so now we've got this thick, rich, hearty lentil potato harissa stew. I don't know why I keep coming up with recipes that need multiple names, but you know, the more that you put in it, the more flavor you have. So let's go ahead and serve it up. Oh, that looks so good. Oh, yes. And what I have here is just some yogurt. I almost always have a little yogurt on hand. This is completely optional for you, but I don't know. It's just something about adding on a bit of a creamy element. So I'm just gonna add on a little bit of yogurt. There we go. And of course, bread. Gotta have some bread. All right, so I have my bread here. I don't know, I need a spoon. I don't have a spoon. What am I doing? Let me grab my spoon. Oh, that's not my spoon. Let me grab my spoon and give this a little bit of a taste. Oh my. It's hot. Here I am burning myself for you guys again. That's some good stew. And that's coming from someone who absolutely hated stew as a kid. When I say I hated stew as a kid, I genuinely hated it. I won't tell the story that goes along with it because we're running low on time, but this is really, really good. It's really good. I can't wait to yeah, I'm doing it. Get the nice crusty bread. It's good. It's not too spicy. Somehow it's not too tomatoey either. Like I said, it's just hearty. It's warming. It's comforting. It's still a little cold right now, so it's okay to have stews and things like that. But this is really good. I really think you guys are going to enjoy this one. All right, so there you have it. Another cheap, easy, plant-based meal for you. I'll be sure to put down the cost breakdown in the description box. Our last meal only cost us $1.50 a serving, so that's pretty good. But like I said, I'll make sure that I put the cost breakdown in the description below, along with the link to the recipe on quirkypineapples.com. If you make this, let me know, and hopefully I'm helping you save some money in these very interesting times that we're having. But yeah, so thanks so much for joining me. Please don't forget to check out quirkypineapples.com. And if you need a little bit of help on your plant-based journey, I do have my absolutely free plant-based grocery guide that gives you a list of all the delicious whole food plant-based things that you can use, and even my recommendations on sauces and seasonings and different things like that. What foods are going to give you the most calcium, protein, all that good stuff. Things that I'm sure that you'll be able to find helpful. But again, thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you for the final recipe in the series, which is going to be a delicious buttery gochujang pasta dish. Bye.